Hello and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Filter podcast. Today I'm so excited because I have one of the bestest people I've known in my entire life. One of my closest friends, Amy Skirvin. How are you?
I'm good. This is exciting.
Yes, I'm so
my
excited.
First time on a podcast.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is my first. I mean, I recorded, with Becca. We kind of were trying to get one off the ground for a while, and we did put a couple on Spotify, but this is my first time as a guest.
Okay, awesome.
So I feel very honored.
Oh, good. Well, and I've been wanting you on here for so long, but it's like, it's so crazy when you start a podcast. Like, you think you have a vision of things, and then all of a sudden things start to change, and then I'm like...
For sure.
Do
you feel like you're getting it now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I've had to kind of transition a little bit my hat into doing more of the production and the editing. So I've had a huge learning curve for me, but it's been good.
Good. Yeah. Well, I'm loving your look today.
Oh, thank you.
I love the top. The hair looks good. So cute. Where'd you get this shirt?
Oh, gosh. I got it from Shein like forever ago. It was like
I feel like everybody
for like $10.
That I have been asking lately where they got something. That's what they're saying. It is. I'm missing out. I think I need to start shopping there.
Okay, so Amy, we met. Oh, yeah, we should say how we met first.
Yes.
Duh.
Yes.
We actually met on social media a long time ago when I had a fitness studio. And I reached out to Amy because I saw her on one of the social media platforms. I can't remember which one it was. And I was just so intrigued by you because
I thought I was first intrigued by you.
Really?
Yeah, I think I was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like I saw you because of the whole Swerk thing.
Oh, yeah.
I started looking into that and I was like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. And I was trying to get into something new. But then it kind of was one of those things that it was like the universe just kind of brought us together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, maybe I was showing up in yours, but you were showing up in mine too.
Yeah, because I remember specifically watching you do a video. You were doing a review on, it was either leggings or it was like the onesie leggings, like the unitard.
Yeah.
And I remember you were saying like how crappy it was. Yeah. And I thought it was amazing that you got on social media and you started talking about how crappy this outfit is to work out in.
Well, that one, I think I remember which one you're talking about, and it was Gymshark. And it had absolutely no support for your breasts. So here, my boobs are just like, I'm 47. At that time, my boobs were 45, and it was just no support at the top. And I was like, so I'm supposed to wear a sports bra with this? Like, it's supposed to be all in one.
Yeah.
What is happening? And I was so disappointed because I was like so excited to get some new stuff. And I was like, Gymshark's supposed to, at that point it was like really, pretty popular.
Yeah, it was.
I was so disappointed. And I think I just wasted like $73 on that, which was a lot for me to spend.
It is on something for sure.
Yeah, it was total crap.
I just remember the video. I was like, this is amazing.
If I'm anything, I'm honest.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yes. I am unfiltered, so I think this is a good show for me to be on.
It's perfect.
Yeah. I try to pretty much every day to say something that, I think that's just been my brain from the beginning, is just being imperfect and putting out there and just being able to say. I think one reason I love like stand-up comedians is that they'll say what we all are thinking.
It's true.
And it's like, you have to be brave to do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. Or you say it and you're like, okay, how's that going to be taken?
Right.
And it's scary, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think I love comedy, like watching all that, just because I'm like, God, that's so brave that they just said what I've been thinking all along.
But I think that's why I love the sweatshop. So for those of you that aren't local, Amy is the owner of the sweatshop. It's actually on the south side of Indianapolis in a suburb called Franklin. And it's an amazing studio. And what I have learned from being there and also teaching and just being a part of your team is that like, everybody's super vulnerable and transparent and authentic, and we say what's on our minds, and it's okay. And I think that's what I've always loved about it. Like, how did the sweatshop come to be?
Yeah, so I created it. I was instructing for someone else, and being in their space just didn't feel I don't know. It didn't feel like home. And I was really struggling I had been working out at home by myself. And I was like, I'd been struggling with my weight, which I'd always had, putting on, 10, 20 pounds, even of course with pregnancies. But at that point I'd had my third kid and I was working a lot and I kept putting on more and more weight. And I was like, you know what? I think the only way that I'm going to actually stay consistent working out is if I start instructing, because I know that would help me keep me accountable. Yeah. And so I taught for someone else. It didn't feel right. And so I left there and I said, all right, I'm just going to start my own thing. And I started in the park and I tell everyone I was out there literally with like a fanny pack collecting fives and like handing out change. Some people literally would pay like in quarters. Like there were some people that would come.
Are you serious?
I'm like, I think I'm going to get a like little change dispenser like they had at the gas station. But there would be moms and they would bring their kids and like they'd pay the girls like $2 a kid to like watch their kids for, 40 minutes or whatever. And I don't know, it was just a Facebook post and me being willing to do something. And really it was for selfish reasons, just that I needed some friends to work out with.
Yeah.
I needed accountability.
So obviously people must have loved what you started because then it grew to having a studio for years. I think it was just because it was raw. It was something that, I always have like, while I'm instructing, I don't know. Am I allowed to cuss on your show? You can say whatever you want.
Well, I always was irritated when I did workouts and like I would do like YouTube videos or something at home or workout programs through like different, fitness brands like Beachbody and stuff. And I would be like, God, I hate that the instructors always seem like they're having such a good time doing this. Like, it's so annoying. It's just like those pictures of like women eating salad and they always look so happy when they're eating a salad. It's like it's not true. No one going into a workout. I mean, you and I are always so honest. Like when you walk into the studio, I'm like, God, I know exactly how she feels. She just left something else. Now she's having to like put on the fitness instructor mode, and you go into it and it's like, I don't want to be here either. And also, this split squat really sucks and I don't want to do another one either, So I just would be like, fuck, like that last one, it was like, oh, I don't want to be, I want to be done, but pushing through together. And that, I don't know, I think what happened was because for me, like sweating has always been very cleansing and dealing with mental, health issues. Just getting out there and sweating together and like doing life together. I think that's what made it keep going, is because it was honest. It was real. And it was very much like, okay, this is really hard, but we're going to do it together. Yeah. And you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. But after we do this, we're all going to feel better and be able to like go do life. Right. Yeah. And also like, I think it was just nice at our age too, like having something that is just a consistent thing in your life besides just like, doing things. And you get to a certain point where it's like, it cannot anymore be all just about the kids and everything. And I think so many of the people that started coming, they needed that too. They needed somewhere that was like, okay, this is something for me. And it's not just like, one little bit of the week, but it's like some consistency. And it like built this flow into our world. So. I just really love the fact that like you provide a space for women just to come in and just be. Like there's no like pretense for it. And that's what I've always loved about the sweatshop. I've done like so many like collaborations and gone to so many fitness studios and gyms around Indianapolis. And so, some are great, some are not so great. And, but when I come to the sweatshop, it's just a totally different vibe and feel. Like, it's just like you can come in and take a breath. Or you can come in and us be like totally pissed and we're exhausted and we're tired and we're coming from one situation to another. Or emotional. Yes. Or we're emotional and we've been crying, or we cry in the middle of a workout and it's okay, Which we both have totally done. We both have done so many times. Yeah. I mean, I think there was one time, even a couple months ago with my immune disorder, I was hysterical in the middle of a workout, but I pulled through. Yeah. But it's like, we need it. And then I think what you learn from that too is like, I mean, I've looked around the room and seen other people getting emotional, like in our class, that they've been, and you can see when they walk in that they're having a day. And like they've lost, even people that have like, lost a loved one or something, and they're trying to get back into it and they get emotional in the middle of the workout or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to give them that grace and give them a space to, and they do the same for me. Yeah. Like, sometimes I think as fitness instructors, especially when like, I don't know, for me, and I think watching you. You try to be positive all the time, and you try to like bring that energy all the time, and we do our best. But, damn, everybody has those days.
Yes.
And I think just like, it's hard for me to allow myself to have a day like that. But I'm proud of myself when I do get vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, guys, like, whether it's Steve, he went through heart surgery, and my husband's going through a lot, or my kids, I'm really struggling with them, or just I'm having a day where I'm just emotionally really struggling, you know? Like when I do put that out there, every time I have, like usually it's like at the end of class and I'll start to get emotional, and then I'm like, damn, I feel better. But guys, I got to tell you, when I first got in here, I did not want to be here. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to just crawl in my bed under the blankets, but here I am. I feel better. And then then this one girl, Shelby, in class, she's like, God, she told Becca, and Becca shared with me later, she said, yeah, Shelby said, I really love this place, but now that Amy like cried and like told us about that, she's like, God, I love it even more.
Oh, I love that.
And we think instead, I don't know. I mean, you know how we overthink.
Yes,
both of us
totally
do.
overthink and like think we have to like sometimes show up a certain way because, we're the instructors or we're leading the class.
That's what they paid for.
Right.
We think that they paid for us to be on and for us to bring it.
Yeah.
And they do. And I think that's obviously with what they get with you and I, 20% of the time. If I'm on 80% of the time like that, and then 20% of the time I'm kind of down or I'm doing my best, just like everybody. I tell everybody, just bring what you have. The main thing is just getting in the room.
Yeah.
And that's for us too. At least we're putting ourselves in the room.
Absolutely.
And it's hard.
So, and I know like for what I really wanted to talk about today is because something that's like has hit you, has hit me, has hit lots of women when we hit a certain age, like our bodies start to change. And I think there's like a misconception that if you're in the fitness industry, that, because you're doing 50 million classes or you're taking care of your health or you're eating, better than the normal person or whatever, what have you, that you shouldn't be having this weight come on, or you shouldn't have all those things. And so both you and
we should have it figured out by now.
Yes, exactly. But both you and I have come to seasons of in our lives where no, that's not the case, and we've been struggling because of our age and so many different factors.
Definitely.
And I think it's really important to like let women know, obviously us being authentic and transparent, like in how saying like, it happens to everybody. Like what, the steps like you have taken, the steps I have taken, the misconceptions of it all. Yeah. Because I know that's why like some people, it boggles me. Like, I've gained all this weight and then you're not used to it. Yeah. And then people still say, oh, but you look fine. But no, you don't understand. I don't feel fine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's different. Looking and feeling are like two different things.
And I think too, like for me, I think one thing that is hard is that we're constantly faced with a mirror in leggings. Like a lot of life you can kind of hide from that. And, I think people would keep coming regardless. That's not what it's about. But I face myself every day. But I mean, this is something I have had an issue with it all the time. I think the stress level of owning your own business and being a woman, being a business owner, and now having, I have 2 businesses that I'm running, and then having, my kids and my husband. It's really the stress that has caught up with me a lot. And I think that is part of what happens at our age is that, now we've got aging parents, or we've got our kids, we've got our husbands, we're trying to make it, because it's like, okay, I need to make the most of these years of my career. It's like, I'm not living forever. And I want to really, I've got a little bit more time on my hands now that my kids are older, but then it's like that stress is what I think, and having so many commitments, trying to make it all work. Yeah. Like trying to have the meal prep done and trying to have, of course I'm getting the workouts in, but we both know so much of it is in the kitchen. And it's like, I don't have time or the energy to go buy all the groceries and plan all the meals and, just have that all in place. And so just like everybody else, I find myself in the line at Taco Bell. And I'm like, God, I don't want to be doing this.
Taco Bell and McDonald's last week because my kid had a fever
in the
all
same
week.
Day?
No, thankfully not. But I ate like shit last week just because Cruz kept having a fever.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
Like I'm not feeling good now and I'm trying to push through the week work-wise.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
give me my double cheeseburger and my fries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I need my order at Taco Bell. I don't know why Taco Bell has been hitting.
Oh, I love Taco
After
Bell.
Steve's surgery, our whole family, it's like been our comfort food. And he's just like, that's all that sounds good. Kind of like when you're pregnant, you know, you're like, this is all. Well, all that sounded good has been Taco Bell. And so I'm like, all right, I'm doing it for him. But then that's what, like, and I was, between home and the hospital.
Yeah.
And, comfort food is a real thing, and I'm sorry, but like having, your meal prep meal, it sometimes can be a little depressing.
Yeah.
And you're 100%. Like, this is not what my soul needs right
My
now.
soul does not need a salad.
But
it needs a cheeseburger
it's just
and fries.
learning how, and I always preach that 80-20, but it's so easy to slip into 60-40. And then before you know it, you got 10 pounds, more on. And it's like, damn, these jeans aren't fitting. And it does, it gets to you because in the back of your head that something is off and that your body needs better and better, but just executing it. Yeah. And you and I both, we love our sweets. Yeah. We love our cookies. And, there's just something about like in the afternoon, my whole thing was that I was just stuck on sugar a lot. And those cravings were so strong. And they always have been really strong for me. And then just getting those under control. And for me, I just kept hearing over and over about GLP-1s. And I've had so many nurse practitioner friends who, because they don't know, I used to be a nurse before I got into fitness. And so many of my friends have done well. And, you hear all the horror stories, but that wasn't my experience of friends that were close to me that had been on it. They look great. They look healthy. They'd been successful long term, over a year, a lot of them. And they just were like, the cravings are just, and that really has been the main thing for me, is that I have a stop button now. I didn't have a stop button really with a lot of times. I could have like multiple drinks, keep going. If I started, I could, eat and drink my way through the whole weekend. And now, like, I'm barely drinking. I'm, having like a couple bites of a dessert. Yeah. It's just so different. Yeah. And it's like to have that mental energy back, to not have to think so hard about food has been so freeing. Because there's so much energy as women that we spend like beating ourselves up. Yeah. And then when you're in the fitness world, you do it even more.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like the shame, the food shame. And then looking at yourself and being like, people are like, oh, Johnette, you're perfect. And it's like, okay, that's so sweet. But I mean, I know they are their intentions are good, but it's like, if I don't feel that about myself, 10 pounds on someone. Now, I have always gone back and forth. I've been between like a size 2 and a size 14. And that's been pretty much ongoing for a long time. And the only time I really had success was when I was really like sticking to a program. And I always would like preach balance and try to do that. And even as a health coach and it never really stuck with any of the women. They'd be like, okay, we can do it. And then they would like, you'd see them at the grocery store and they would like not be making eye contact with you.
Don't look at my
I know. It's kind of like, I guess if you've been like sitting all weekend and you see your pastor and you're like, oh God, I don't want to make any eye contact because he's going to know that I, spent the night at whatever and that I've been doing this thing. And I'm like, girl, I'm here with you. I don't want you to look into my cart either. Yeah. Like I'm not perfect. And I don't know. It's just now I want to be able just to like, it's kind of like when I think I talked to you about this, like when I first started taking medication for anxiety. And I'm like, if there wasn't a problem, then when I started taking this, it wouldn't have any effect. Right. It wouldn't have helped me. Right. And it did. Like I wasn't having that battle in my brain as much. I didn't have that like tornado head going on constantly in my mind. And I could finish a thought. Or I could sit through a whole lecture at college. I quit college because I couldn't sit there anymore. Emotionally, I would be, fighting panic attacks all the time. And so getting to a point now where it's the same thing. I don't have all this, you hear it called food noise all the time. Yeah. Not having that is just really, it's so freeing. And so it's like, okay, well, if something wasn't happening in my brain, then I can't just imagine. I've tried to make that shut up in my brain, and it wouldn't.
It just doesn't shut up.
No, it's constantly saying, like I always joke that I'm a cookie monster, but like this time of day I was like driving around. I'd be like Panera, you know, I think I have a free cookie reward.
Go get
it would be a sin to let that expire.
Oh no, you can't.
I've got to get a kitchen sink cookie that has 840 calories in that thing.
Does it really?
Yes.
Stop it.
The kitchen sink cookie has 840 calories. I know.
That's awful.
Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed. They should only be able to serve you a fourth of it.
No kidding. Because I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry if I ruined kitchen sink cookies.
It's fine.
For you, because they are incredible. They're incredible. But yeah, it's definitely helping. It's gotten to the point now where, I mean, I haven't lost a lot of weight on it, but I feel more in control. And that has really been good. But it's still early in the game.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is believing it's going to work and staying on it and staying with it. I think that's with everything. You know, it's that trust the process, which we say to everybody.
I know.
And everybody thinks that if they take one of these medications that it's like magically going to come off, but it doesn't. Like you still have to be committed.
You still have to be committed to the other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that you keep taking the shot because at the beginning, I'm not feeling fabulous on it. Like as far as like my stomach kind of cramps and I'm not feeling, it's like, okay, I'd rather not be having, you know, zero side effects. They're not terrible. And staying hydrated definitely helps with them. But yeah, it's like I have to believe that this is going to work to keep doing this to myself, you know. Not that I feel like it hurts or anything, but it's just, you know, it is something that I have to stick with and trust that it's going to happen and it's going to happen in the right time. Yeah. But I think, you know, the weight does come off slower than it used to. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think with me, my whole thing was I was scared to get on anything just because like my hormones were just so out of whack and out of place. And I had started gaining weight.
How did you know about the hormones? Did you get like a panel done?
I went and got a panel done and but I just started to feel different. Yeah. And actually, I started realizing that something was wrong with my hormones during my last competition when I was bodybuilding because the weight wasn't coming off like it normally did. We had to go very, very extreme. Yeah. And I've never gone super extreme. And that was my 5th show. And so at that point, I was like,
This is the one that I knew you were training for.
Yeah. Okay. Like, something's wrong. Like some of this doesn't work. Or, you know, it's just it's not clicking. And then I started gaining weight in the most random spots that I've never gained weight in. Right. And like
where?
Like my back fat. Like I've never had back fat before in my life. It's like right here, like in the bra. Oh, and then like right here. I never had that. Yeah. So I was like, what the hell's going on?
I have a friend who calls her back fat Chad. It's only on
Chad.
It's only on one side, she said. She's like, I don't know what it is, but like it's just under the left armpit. And she said she called it Chad. Because Chad's always a dick, right?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Back fat is and it's one of those things.
The worst.
Yeah, so that was one thing that kind of woke me up, like, is that I saw a picture of myself that was a backside and it was these back rolls and I was like, where the hell did those come? Those weren't there. Yeah. Like, but it took 75 hard and me really being extreme to get to that point. And I was like, it was great walking that much every day, but 45-minute outdoor workout and 2 other work, it was too much.
That's a lot.
It was too much.
Yeah, and you're way overdoing it for your body.
So back fat, anything else that popped up?
Back fat, arm fat. I started getting arm fat like here. Like I would notice kind of like, you know, when you have like cellulite parts in your thighs. Yes. I noticed that around my arms. I've never had that either. So I was like, what is happening? And I just felt super inflamed. Yeah. I was having hot flashes galore, waking up in pools of sweat. I wasn't sleeping. And then like on the autoimmune end, like I couldn't eat. So I was like, I wasn't eating. Yeah. But I was gaining weight and I felt like shit basically. Yeah. So then that's when my doctor was like, crazy. You're perimenopause. I was like, oh, sweet.
Was that ever a term when our moms were younger?
I don't think so.
It seems like that's new, this whole perimenopausal. Yeah. Everyone keeps telling me, well, of course you've gained weight. You're perimenopause. And I'm like, I haven't got any of my hormones done yet. So now I'm like, do I need to do that?
I would, yeah, because for me, so I got on HRT and then we've had to play around with numbers. And then we added in a third hormone as well. So, because I only started out on 2 and I started to see the weight going down.
Really?
It did take a while. Immediately, the hot flashes went away. So that was great. The weight took a good, I would say 8 to 10 weeks before I even saw the scale move. And then I kind of hit a plateau, you know, and I was still doing all the things.
How much did you lose doing the HRT?
It was just like 5 pounds. It wasn't big,
Okay.
but the eating, the less inflammation, the hot flashes, they were all like way worth it.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm still not seeing, I don't understand. Like I'm working out more. I am keeping my food in check. Like this shouldn't be so difficult.
Right.
So that's when I decided to get on a GLP-1. And for me, for my autoimmune disorder, that's why I think it's just so different for everybody.
Yes.
And they're all different.
Yeah.
Because there's all different brands and different varieties. Like for me and my body and my autoimmune disorder, I have to take the smallest dose.
Yeah.
If I go over the dose,
like
count me out. Like I am done. Don't talk to me. I'm out. I have a stomach ache. I have a headache. I can't eat. I'm nauseous. Like it is like death to Johnette.
Yes.
I cannot do it.
Yeah.
So I have to take the smallest. So I mean, thankfully it's good for on the pocket because the injection's
and
super
it's been
tiny
working for
me.
you.
Yeah, it has been working. It has been trial and error because, you know, I was doing something a little heavier and then we had to back it down and then we diluted it a little bit more. And so now I finally found the right dose for me and the right dose for me that keeps me where I want to be. I'm not fully, again, same thing. Like I'm not fully where I want to be, but I'm finally starting to see results with it. Yeah. But what I think is crazy is that like you have women or people online that like either bully you or talk crap about, you know, taking all of that stuff when it's like, okay, you don't know my body. You don't know what I've done with my body, how my body is responding to things or not responding to things. Yeah. And you have have you lived in my body?
Right.
You know, so my head. Yes, that too.
There is an element of, some people are like, for your mental health, like, you know, if you have like an eating disorder, and I know this is a very, you know, this is a very, like we said, it's very individual to each person. But if your mental health is really suffering because you don't have a good self-image, that is so real. I mean, you and I have seen so many women, and if just like them in class, if they're showing up and they're doing the right things, and it's not like I was, you know, doing some, like it wasn't a strict diet, and I'm sure that I could be more restrictive. But when I get too restrictive, it would mess with my mental health. Yeah. And it's like, if I have to go to a place like what you were saying, where it's like, my brain doesn't do well without any carbs. But it's like, if that's what it took me to finally lose the weight was to go no carb, it's like, okay, maybe it would work, but
you're miserable.
Yeah, I'm miserable. Like, what's my quality of life left? You know, and everybody that's like, well, you should be able to do it on your own. And it's like, okay, well, and you know, like the BMI part of it for me, I was in that. I'm already down below. I was right at the cusp. It was like 30, you know, your BMI. But, you know, I would have qualified for like it. You know, I got it from a nurse practitioner and it's compounded. But if I had gone into, you know, my doctor's office, I would have qualified, you know, for it. But I chose to go this route just because, you know, I think it's good that like women can say, with the help of my nurse practitioner, like what is best for me? Yeah. You know, what is going to be the place where, do you feel a lot better?
Yeah, like, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
The first few months were hard. And I think it's just because since I have an immune disorder that has played a role with my hormones. So I've had like multiple issues. Yeah. But I finally got to a stride where like I'm sleeping, I'm keeping the weight off, I'm eating, you know, sometimes do I get busy and I forget to eat? Yes. I mean, that happens sometimes. Yeah. But I've
still
always
not for me, damn it.
But I've always had an issue with food, just with my immune disorder in general. Like I've never ever had like an appetite for stuff, or if I eat something, it's just like just inhale it really quick because I know I need it. But like even now, like my boyfriend be like, "What are you in the mood for?" I'm like, "Stop asking me that question. I'm never in the mood for anything."
Even before,
yeah, I would just never be. But
oh my god, I'm always in the mood for something.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever crave anything.
Even when you were pregnant.
I mean, I wanted like orange juice. That was it when I was pregnant. And I just wanted that. I drank a ton of orange juice.
I wanted margaritas. I didn't drink them, but I wanted it. Yeah. So, and I think that's, for me, the food noise, as far as like, I did always feel like eating something. And so much of my day was, okay, I wake up, I'm hungry as soon as I wake up. Yeah. And even now, like, it's kind of a nauseous feeling. where it's like, okay, I need to eat a little something. But then once I eat that protein and drink the water, I'm not thinking about the next meal until it's time to eat it.
Yeah.
Where before I'd be like, okay, it's 10 a.m. It's time for a snack, and then, okay, it's lunchtime and where am I going to eat lunch and go out? And I would like, I could eat like a whole meal, 3 times a day. And some people that would say like, I forgot to eat. I'm like, I never, since I was born, it was never like that. And always just had that, like, it was always where I was in that cusp where it was like, I wasn't fat, but I wasn't small.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of that in between where people would call me big boned when I was, younger, or I was chunky, or, but there's only been a few times where, and I don't know, for me, a lot of it was too, like, my mom was always obsessed with her weight, but she was always so small.
Yeah.
And so seeing someone who was unsatisfied with how they saw themselves and they were smaller than me, I know that was speaking a lot to me the whole time I was growing up.
Right.
Yeah. And so constantly, like, not feeling like I was, in the right size, and that comparison. And that's not, I feel like, not why I'm doing it now. Why I'm doing it now is more, okay, yes, I do want to fit in my clothes. I do want to feel confident in what I'm wearing and those things. I don't like bending over and tying my shoe and getting kind of winded because my belly is in the way. And that was getting to the point that was happening. Embarrassingly enough, it was like, shit. But most of it is like, you think about, like, if I handed you a 20-pound weight right now, and, most people I read where you don't notice you've gained weight until 14 pounds is on average.
Really?
Mm-hmm, for women.
Wow.
14 pounds, which is like a size and a half.
Yeah.
Sometimes even like 2 sizes up. And, that is not, I could never maintain a size. So I was always between sizes, going up, going down. And you think if I handed you a 20-pound weight and made you carry it all around today, how would you feel by the end of the day?
Yeah. And
it's like, okay, everything is harder right now because I have allowed that back on. And then, like you were saying, like with the shame, like I didn't know as far as like being in fitness, like being an instructor, I thought, well, if I tell people that I needed this, what that's communicating is my workouts aren't enough and Amy doesn't have it figured out and she can't be trusted.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went. And it's like, no, it's another tool.
Yes.
Like I do. What's so great now is I know what to do and I can actually follow through on it. Mm-hmm. Just like everybody, sometimes it's like, the right thing, but then, if it's not working right in your body, it's just, you can only do it so much and then you are going to break down again. And I think so many women feel like their willpower is weak and they're a weak woman and they can't. And it's like, okay, my guess is that maybe this is one area that you struggle in, but in another area, you are super badass and strong. And so if you could just give yourself some grace that like nobody is strong and can do all of it. Mm-hmm. This is just one area. Like, I don't know what it is to struggle with addiction. Yeah. As far as like drugs or, even alcohol. And it's like, but this is something I get. Like, I get not being able to not think about food. Mm-hmm. And I get being able, not really knowing when to stop. Like, you can just keep going and going and eating. And it's like, God, everybody else is done, but I can keep going. Yeah. But then not having it, it's not a big enough problem that everybody is like, oh, you need it. It's just enough that it's always in the back of my head. Right. Always in the back of my head. And always where it's like, you go past that mirror and you're like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. That's not really healthy. And knowing that I want to do better for myself. And so finally I was like, the same shame that I stopped putting on myself about getting an SSRI and getting help for anxiety. I said, this is bullshit. I'm not going to let shame, because I was going to church at that time where I had so much shame around, like, you should just be able to read the right Bible verse and say it to yourself enough times or pray yourself. You're like, yeah, that's not it.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
Not with anxiety, no.
But back then, in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was, people didn't understand it enough. And I think that's kind of where we're at with these things. Mm-hmm. Is that it's not enough just to say, like, if someone has never struggled with weight, they'll say, well, why don't you just put the cheeseburger down? Just work out more.
It's like the most ignorant comment somebody can make.
It is. And like with what you're saying with like the hormones on top of it, it's like the problem sometimes, you know, if somebody deals with anxiety and depression, and then on top of that, maybe they have ADHD, so it's hard for them to stick with something. And then on top of that,
there's so many layers.
There's so many layers. Financially, maybe they're really struggling. And, you know, they have poor quality food because of what is even available to them. And then on top of that, maybe they're having car problems and they can't even get themselves to a gym. They're like, well, you could walk, or, well, maybe they have a child and they can't leave. You know, it's like you don't know the complexities of what is keeping someone in their situation. And sometimes they just need someone to say, okay, I can help you. And I think that these medications for a lot of people are a lifeline. It's like finally there's something that can help them. And then I think a lot of people are like, well, you should do the lifestyle first. And then, but it's like, okay, it's like telling me, like when I had bad anxiety, to, you know, just go, you know, get therapy and do the things. It's like, I really couldn't even listen to the therapist because I was so chemically imbalanced to let that therapy be effective. I would have just sat there and just been blank, and my brain would have been somewhere else because I would have been still struggling with that panic so much and just trying to sit in the room. And so it's like a lot of women, they have to start with these medications to get to the point to do what the doctor said.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just, I'm just tired of people acting like everything is just an easy answer and so many things are just, everything's pretty complex nowadays.
Right.
It's like,
it seems that way.
Yeah.
I just love the fact how you were very open about it. And you're like, look, like I'm, you know, I own a fitness studio. I work out 5 million times a day.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm still at this age where I still don't have this figured out, and it's okay. And so this is what I'm choosing to do with my body, because this is what I feel like is best after doing the research and talking with nurses or doctors or doing what you need to do to feel okay with it. This is the decision I've made. It's not that, oh, I'm not going to do it because this person said I shouldn't do it, or this person's going to think bad of me if I do it. It's like,
and I'm sure they have, but so far I've not really had people like hating at me, and people said that I should be prepared, that like they would be, but they haven't. Like most people have been super supportive, and I can't tell you how many women have slid into my DMs.
Who are you seeing?
Yeah. They're like, who are you using? Or, hey, I've been on it.
Yeah.
And they haven't wanted to tell anyone. And I just want to encourage women, just like when you are on a medication for, you know, for mental health, or you're on a medication, even for blood pressure, like you would never feel shame going, I got on a new blood pressure medicine. Yeah. And my blood pressure now is in normal range. Like you wouldn't feel guilty about that ever. Or if you were a diabetic, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm so thankful. Like finally my blood sugars are normal. Yeah. And you wouldn't be like, oh, I can't believe you didn't just try to fix that with diet and exercise. Because, I mean, you know, you can fix type 2 diabetes, a lot of it with diet and exercise. They get you on the medication when they see the problem, and then they address all the lifestyle issues, you know, along with it. And that's a magical thing, you know, is having a whole, you know, healthcare continuum or whatever, and having all the facets to it. And so I love it now, because when women come to the studio, you know, I feel so bad for those women that they're like, God, I've been working out now for like 2 months.
And like, I'm not seeing anything.
And I'm not seeing anything. And then they'll quit. And you're like, oh, babe, like, I do see it. Like, they don't see it on the scale. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, your body is changing. Like, you're stronger, and, you know, it's that number for women.
I know. We are obsessed about that number.
God, it sucks.
Because even now, like, I am 3 pounds away from where I want to be. And I still weigh myself. And I'm
every day?
Yes.
Oh, have you always done that?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, because I came from the bodybuilding world, I was ingrained to because it is on the scale. I knew that if I didn't drop a pound when I was supposed to drop a pound, we had to adjust my macros. So I was constantly on the scale. So I think it's innately in me that, like, I wake up, I get on the scale. I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I get on the scale.
So if the scale is gone up or if it's gone down, does that affect your day?
Not really. If I look at the scale and if it's gone up, then I'm like, I must be carrying inflammation, or maybe my body hasn't processed everything yet, or it's just feeling a little bit heavy today. So it's not that bad. If I see it go up more than like 3 pounds, then I'm like, okay, what did I do? Yeah. Then I kind of check myself a little bit.
And I have heard that can be a good thing for that. That it's like, it can like reel you back in. And I think that's part of my problem, is that I got to wait. Like, it's finding that point where it's like, okay, the scale isn't going to be the master of my day.
Yes.
But it's also, it's going to be a tool that like does help me to stay on track.
Yes.
That's where it's like, I do still struggle with that all or none kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I hope that with this medication, and once I get that like new happy place for my body, have you heard about like the set point? How a body, it's really, I listened to another podcast and they were talking about these meds, and they talked about how your body starts to get a set point, and it's like your brain has decided this is how much energy it needs to survive. And that one thing they think with these GLP-1s is that it lowers your set point, your what your brain allows you to be at. Because your brain naturally, and this is something that they've looked at a lot, that like even if you say I'm going to start cutting calories, you'll naturally like make up for it before you go to bed and something else. Like it's really calorie restriction and lowering your calories is really hard. Like you have to be really intentional about it.
Yeah.
Because if you're just following your natural appetite, you're going to be eating about the same amount of calories every day because your brain is really, really smart. And it can also be, very destructive if it's not working, the way that it needs to. But it is like where each person kind of has this set point. And one thing they think is that it's lowering it. For some people, it might be 10 pounds, 50 pounds, 10, 20 pounds, whatever. And then people will say, well, I plateaued on it. And then sometimes they have to like make another adjustment or do something, but that set point has come down. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if like, I think now our set points are kind of the thermometers are like broken because of the stress we're under, what we're eating, the kind of foods we're putting in our bodies. The amount of food that we're putting in our bodies. Our food is so high in calories and fat and sugar and it is like this craving. These cravings are so real, and like how it's changing, and it's like the more that they learn about being in fitness for a while, you see these trends that kind of come back and these things that come back. This is out, this is in, this is out, and it's like just seeing how like now, just how it all comes together and. You can't separate any of it. You can't separate the hormones from your blood sugar, from your muscle mass, from your diet, it's like, and that's why even with health coaching, it was always so frustrating because it's like, okay, we can't really focus on just one thing.
It has to be everything.
It has to be everything, or they're not going to, if you're not drinking enough water, forget about it.
Oh my gosh.
Like
that's the one thing I have struggled lately is getting all my water intake.
What do you do if you start struggling? Or how do you know?
Well, for me, it's just hard because like with my immune disorder, if it affects my bladder. So sometimes like I don't want to, and now that I'm not on any pain meds anymore for my bladder situation. I feel
like you have spasms.
Yeah, I feel everything to the 10th degree now. So I now struggle with water intake because before I had the pain meds and I could drink all the water I needed to drink, especially when I was doing bodybuilding shows. Now I literally feel everything. There was even, it was on Saturday. We went to go work out at the gym, and all I did, I had a cup of coffee in the morning. I drank my pre-workout, and my bladder was so angry at me. It was like just spasming constantly. We got to the gym.
Oh my
and normally
God.
Me and my boyfriend normally just walk on the treadmill just to warm up.
It's so fun to hear you say me and my boyfriend.
Me and my boyfriend. So weird. I know. It's still, even when I say it, it's just really weird. I feel like a teenager.
I love that
my boyfriend. But we got on the treadmill. I looked at him after 2 minutes and I'm like, I gotta get off of this. I couldn't even walk on the treadmill. Like I had to give myself time for my bladder just to stop.
And here you are trying to do one healthy thing, and then it keeps you from doing another healthy thing.
Yep.
You're trying to exercise and now you can't and those are the things that like, I mean, honestly, I want to have there's this amazing female doctor at OBGYN, Dr. Klein in Franklin, and she talks about like vaginal slings and, and women, urinary incontinence and all these things that like are so uncomfortable talking about. But those things keep women from exercising.
Yes.
They keep women from going to the gym because it's painful or it's embarrassing or it's whatever. And it's like, that's why you can't make this where you just say, just go work out.
Yeah.
It's like you have no idea all the issues that this woman has going on in her body.
Yeah.
And her mind. Like, it's just not that easy. And that's why I try to give so much grace to women. And I just do. I just want to like hug them when they get in the door because I'm like, first, I'm just so proud that you made space in your life to be in this room with me.
Yes, because that's step one is even hard
Just
for most
getting
women.
in the
Just
room.
getting there. Yeah.
And I tell them that's 50% of your workout is just getting in this damn room, because I know how much work that takes. And especially if they have little kids, like, God love you. But then once they're in there, it's like, I just want to give them a space where that's like, they can feel just free and good and just be themselves and just be, and then totally accepted. I think this is another thing that like has been popular with me, with the people, is that I talk about peeing myself a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do a jumping jack, like, oh, that one got me peeing. Oh my God, in box, when I'm like trying to like, and then I'll like, like I'll do that. I'm like, oh shit. There, I just peed.
That's why there's so many
and
times.
And I sweat so much that's embarrassing.
When I was taking your step classes, I wouldn't do certain moves because I knew that was a no move for Johnette. Like, nope. I can dance my ass off, but for some reason I do that step move.
Yes.
That is not good.
Yes. It's certain things that you do. And then it's like you were doing that core strengthening class. I was like, I need that. Like, but now have you heard Amy Ham is getting ready to, hopefully she'll get one. But there's that new thing that's like a wand that you can use. It's like a treatment that strengthens, like, it kind of, I don't know if it does Kegels for you or like, but it can heal. Yes.
You insert it?
I think that's how it works. I think you insert it.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be doing a Facebook Live while it's inserted.
Probably not.
But I would definitely talk about it afterwards and tell them like what it, I mean, but yeah, it's supposed to, I think there might be I don't know if it's laser therapy, but it's something, it's inserted. It's very, I'm sure someone knows about what I'm talking about if Amy watches this, but it's a very expensive machine. And yes, it strengthens the pelvic floor so that maybe you don't have to have a sling put in or that you stop peeing yourself. I mean, I think it would be worth it for sure.
Wow.
Tighten up the skin, the wrinkles on the face, and tighten up the...
We all come to a certain point in our lives when we just need
a little more collagen.
Everything needs to get tightened up. You know what? I'm sure that would be helpful afterwards too, like to be intimate.
Yes.
Ah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trekking.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll get you more details.
Okay. Yes, please do.
I'll get you the pamphlet. I'll read, or the QR code.
QR code. Just as long as it's not like crazy instrument.
Every time, like doing jumping jacks. Yeah, it's not. I think it's not very. It doesn't look very intimidating.
Okay, good.
From what she was saying, it's. I mean, it has to look very gentle and kind if we're gonna. Smooth.
Has to look very gentle and kind.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's like, this is therapeutic. Just sit back in this therapy chair, and now we're gonna. I was like, okay, well, are you inserting it? Am I?
Yeah, that's so weird.
What's the process?
Oh my gosh, this conversation just reminded me. I saw a video on TikTok, and I think I've seen it on Reels too. It's like kind of like POV. You're at your annual at your gyno's office, and it's like somebody with like the chip clamp thing opening the bag, and you're like going like this and opening it wide, and the bag's opening, and I was like, I am dead right now because that's literally how it happened.
It is. It is. Every time we're in class, I tell him, I'm like, in wall Pilates, I'll be like, scoot your butt down, scoot down some more, just like you're at the gynos, where you're always like, scoot down more, scoot down more, get in position. I'm like, okay, now your legs are where they should be. They love that. That's a nice little joke. I mean, it's not fun being a female, but if you don't laugh about it, you literally will cry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You will cry because it's like, but I mean, people that like. Talk about turning 40 or 47, and it's like now I'm closer even, to 50 than I am 40. Does it bother you getting older, aging?
I don't like being 42 because I don't feel like I'm 42.
Yeah.
I think more than anything this year, I've just realized like, oh my gosh, I have lived 42 years. Like that's a long time.
Yeah.
And like, then I go into like Johnette, like perspective. Let me go ahead and go into my life and explore every bit and piece of it, because now I realize I'm really 42, which all means I'm closer to 45.
Do you feel like you're where you want to be at 42?
No.
No. Yeah.
No. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely nowhere where I want to be right now.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not happy. I'm very happy.
No.
But
yeah.
I think you get to a certain age where you think you'd be somewhere in some situations and in some aspects, and obviously life hits you and things become different. But it's just crazy how like I feel like I blinked and I'm 42.
Yeah.
It's
I
weird.
think what you and I need to remember at our, like, because I'll talk to someone that I think, oh, she's probably going, yeah, I'm where I should be at this age. But when you really talk to them, they're like, oh, you started your own business, or you did this, or you did that. Oh, I wish I would have done that. Or like, I think all women in some regard, if they're honest, like there's something, you know, that it's like, okay, but I think that's a good thing that in a way, like, because it pushes you to like, I'm going to make the most of my time.
Yes.
And I think in your 40s, you start thinking, I need to make the most of my time, you know, and I'm not going to take years for granted, because you do, you know, as you get older, it's like, I think it's a blessing, and you kind of feel like, okay, this isn't, you know, it's just about making the most of opportunities. Right. But then it's about not burning yourself out while you're making the most of the opportunities.
There's a problem with everything, I swear.
The yin and the yang. Yeah, because now it's like, okay, I got to get it done, because, you know, but then it's like, okay, that pacing myself. That's what I'm trying. That's where I'm at right now.
Yes, I agree.
Is learning is not burning myself out, because, you know, like, but I think too, like I don't think anyone, I've even talked to, like, when I used to be a nurse and I would like take care of old, you know, 80-year-old women, they'd say the same thing, that they didn't feel 80.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I just don't think you ever feel your age, because your soul doesn't age.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, your soul is just Johnette.
Yeah.
And then this is like your body, you know, so it's like your body keeps aging, but it's like, you're just Jay, and you'll always be. And so it's like, that's a cool thing. Yeah. You know? And so it's like then just being okay with the changing of the tide.
I know. That's the bad part.
But then the good part is that, like, as I get older, I am getting better. And I know you've seen this in me, and I've seen growth in you since we've been friends, that I really do give a shit less.
Yeah, same.
And that is, like, that does come with age.
Oh, 100%. Because
you
now
don't get that
when things happen, I'm
life.
just like, yeah. Okay.
And I think being people pleasers, you know, and trying to make everyone happy, I still fall into it and overcommit or say things just because I don't want to let people down. But for the most part, if it really matters, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. You know, that's not for me. I wish I get to a place where I can say it sooner and not have to like
mull over it and like think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can just immediately go, you know, I love that for you, but that's not for me. Yeah. Hopefully by 50, I'll be there.
Let's hope. I'll be there.
Yeah, or I will burn myself out.
Yeah, you don't want to do that by 50.
No. I've got kids to put through college. So
that's true. You got to keep checking with the energy and all the things.
I know. I woke up this morning. I'm like, how the hell? And I was just like, okay, here we go. I did like a guided meditation on YouTube for gratefulness, joy, and positivity.
I need to do that. I've gone away from my meditations, but I need to. Yes, I just, for some reason, I don't know what's gotten into me lately, but I'm loving like just listening to like different kinds of news podcasts. Yeah. For some reason, that is relaxing me right now. I don't know.
Whatever does it.
It doesn't. I don't know why it does that. Yeah. Why is this thing doing something weird? Hold on a second.
I love that for you.
So what would you say to women who are, I would say, let's say they've had some fitness in their life, you know, they're not like starting a new journey, but they're kind of where we've been, where, you know, we've hit a plateau, things are not working and aligning the way they should be. And you're just like scared. Yeah. To take other steps that are not your typical, normal in terms of like correcting your lifestyle and diet. Like, what would you say to those women?
Yeah. First, I think it's finding somebody that you trust to talk to about it. You know, I think I do fear that there are a lot of people out there just selling something. Yeah. And I think that's always happened in fitness where they will jump on, you just see a lot of trends and you see how people want to make money off of that. And so just beware of who you're trusting to give you something that goes into your body, and that, you get someone that has used and trusted. I think word of mouth, getting referrals, talk to your friends, and just be open and honest. I think, talking to each other and saying, I've really been thinking about this, because I would guess that if you have a friend who's probably lost some weight here recently and you said, hey, I'm really struggling with losing weight. What are you doing? Because whatever you're doing seems to be working. Yeah. They probably will have a bigger story than what you think. It's probably a little bit more than diet and exercise. Yeah. But they're afraid to say it because maybe, they think they'll be judged for it. And I think just talking to each other is a great place to start. And then, going to, unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to their doctors are blowing them off. Yeah. And they're saying that, just diet and exercise should be enough. And I think just getting your information, knowing what your BMI is, like get on a scale that tells you your BMI, take your waist measurement, like your waist measurement should be 35 inches or less. And if it's not, that puts you at risk for things. And I think just knowing your body information, I hate it that at the doctors, they only give you your weight and your height. Like, I think it's ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Yes, because it's like, I have like 4 pounds of clothes on right now, even though I take off my shoes.
Yeah. and it's like, if you've been telling me to eat healthy and exercise for a long time, and my body's not changing, and then like you don't know what my muscle mass is, you don't know how much my waist circumference, like all these, those are really easy to get. Like why can't they just get more information? So I think finding where you can get a scale on Amazon or whatever, really, that will give you that information. I think starting there, knowing your body better, maybe getting some blood tests, getting your finding out your hormones, but then before you make a big monetary investment in anything, I think just step back with that information and just say, okay, what is best for me? Yeah. What is really going to, I think, be the next best step for me? Because, and then finding that person that is going to walk with you through it, because any type of weight loss, I think you need support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like doing it just by yourself and some, place online, that is maybe has a bot talking to you, and then maybe one check-in like through an email. I don't know what they're doing now, but anytime you're going through a transformation, I just think you need to be, especially if it's 50 pounds, 80 pounds that you have to lose, like that's a big transformation. Yeah. And I just think that it's healthy to have someone with you along the way.
For sure.
But there's so many, med spas and different things popping up out there now that, just get referrals, look at their reviews, talk to people, just get informed, and then, get your information and then make your decision. And don't let fear of judgment keep you from taking care of yourself.
Yes, I love that.
Because I think that is something that can hold any of us back at any age. I was afraid to take my first shot. Like, I was like, I don't like putting new things in my body. Yeah. Like, I'm scared to take some, when I remember the first time I took my first Paxil, I was like, all right, here she goes down the hatch. I hope this works, but I was like, what if it doesn't? What if I have a reaction to it? Or what if, and you start to get scared. And I was like, no, I've made this choice. I'm going to move forward now. I've made the choice. And now I'm going to commit to this path. And I'm going to stick with it for, 6 months or a year and see where this takes me. And I think so many times we're like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to go try this. Right. Nope, that doesn't work. I'm going to go try this. That doesn't. It's like, that's never going to get you anywhere. Right. If you keep trying a different direction, you're never going to go anywhere. You really have to commit to a path and start walking in it. Mm-hmm. And then I think once you start doing that, then the other things will fall into place. I think that it will be easier for you to eat better if you are on, the right medication. It has been for me. Yeah. I hope that it would be, or if you got the right, nutritionist, maybe you just need a personal coach. Maybe you're one of those people that really needs more one-on-one, whatever. But I just tell everybody, just don't give up on yourself. Yeah. And absolutely. You've helped me with that too, because I came to Johnette. When I came to you, remember, it was like, it was probably like 4 months ago. I mean, I always check in with you, and I've always felt like more about, like I've never counted macros. I've counted protein, and I of course I know what the macros are, and they say, I know enough to get myself in trouble. Yeah. But I've never trained for a bodybuilding or anything like that, and I feel like, I'm like, oh, I want to be committed to that level. And then I'd see you, having success or doing what you're doing. And when I remember coming to you and I'm just like, God, I'm just going to give up on this. Like, I just need to just accept myself as I am and stop spazzing about this. And just like, this is just it. This is it. I'm going to, my set point now is like 185. And it's like, okay, I just got to accept that. And you were like, no, we're not going to just accept it. And that really surprised me when you said that.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, thank you. Because I do think that as women, a lot of times we're afraid to challenge each other. Yeah. We kind of coddle each other. And you go to that friend that is going to say the thing that you want to hear, and you're so, positive and everything. And I thought you'd be like, well, you're beautiful, you're fine, which I know you think that. But you were like, no, we're going to find an answer to this. And I was like, yeah. And that was even before GLP-1s was even in the conversation for me. Because I think at that point I did think that, those were the easy route. I was making really stupid opinions with not enough information. And now as I looked into it more, I've realized that I was, they're not an easy answer. And I'm really glad that I kept looking and staying open. And then, I ended up going to Amy for Botox because I saw a picture of my forehead and I was like, oh my God, I need Botox again. And I was like, what am I going to do? I have to get this again. And so I called her about getting the Botox. And then we sat and talked and I was like, I really am still struggling with this. Yeah. And she's had such great success with it. And she's like, I really just think you need to try it now. It's time. And it's one of those things where, you and I will get like those messages from the universe and it's like things are falling into place. And that started happening. It's like, okay, I need to trust my gut and not let my fear get in the way. And let's just do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I know that's a lot of, I think, information that women desperately need in terms of, being your own cheerleader and, doing your own your own research, your own advocate. Because even like with my situation, like if I just went to a regular doctor, my BMI wasn't high enough. So then they would just say, just work out. Yeah. Well, no, I have like 5 factors right now that's making up all of my issues. It's not a simple case. Yeah. So I've had to really pivot and change and find the right people to connect with and figure out if that was a good road for me. So I would say, absolutely be your own advocate and do your research too. Yeah. And it's sad that it has to get worse before they'll help you get better. I know. Like, it's not like, your body and it's like, I'm living in it. I know that this has been an ongoing issue. Why is it? So should I just go eat a bunch of food until I'm to that point? And then you'll prescribe me medication and help me? That dumb. Doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, like I get there has to be maybe some, there is misuse of these. 100%. Oh, totally. There's misuse of everything. But it's like, there are, I think the more that there's so many indications for these, inflammation being one that they're looking into, and addiction and so many things that it's like, I do think these meds are going to really help a lot of people in a lot of different areas. And it's exciting. It's exciting that there's that now we have something to help so many people with issues. So, when I heard that I was like, that makes 100%, that makes total sense to me. Mm-hmm. And I never would look at you and be like, oh, well, that's just, some people are like, it's not a vanity medicine. Yeah. And it's just one of those things again, where it's like, you just can't make that decision for someone else. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for saying all of that. I think everybody needed to hear that. So that's awesome. Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up because we're getting about 58 minutes. We've been talking. We can talk all day. I know. The first time we met, we talked probably 3 hours. Yeah, exactly. We're just shutting down the restaurant. You're going to probably have to come back on because we only talked about one little piece of 5 million things. So you'll have to come back on again. I would love to. Okay, awesome. Yeah. If people want to connect with you, where do they find you? So I'm big on Facebook. That's where I built my business and it's where I show up the most. And so Sweatshop Franklin. I think it's sweat.shop.franklin. I mean, I should know it by heart, man. But look up Amy Skirvin and follow me. I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats, and I'll be honest about, all of it, the whole picture. And, just trying to make my impact in Franklin and my hometown. Just being, for women's small businesses are a big part of my heart because I've worked so hard to try to change
my life and the direction it's going through owning a business. And it just takes a lot of courage to do that. And then fitness, of course, is a big world for me and those women. And I'd love to have you come see me at the sweatshop in Franklin. Come do a workout with me.
And you have online classes too, in case people are not local.
You can do Zoom classes with me if you're not local for sure. And those are, it's all super affordable. And that's one thing I try to make everything that we do affordable for everybody. So Zoom is definitely a place that you can connect with us too.
Thanks for watching and listening to this week's Behind the Filter. For more details on this episode, go to JohnetteCruz.com.